up,
Tune
Andy?
in to the Connect Work with IKS, Tony Lynch, and Quaalude, America's #1 show.
If you haven't been listening to the new guys, the Connect Work, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, take that. This is the Diddler, and I'm oiled up and listening to the Connect Work.
From the west to the east, it's the D-O-double-G, and I'm rocking with the Connect Work.
If you don't know who I am, then you're stupid. Shout out to the Connect Work, hottest show, period. Yay.
I want to give a big shout out to the Connect Work. These brothers are the new sound of radio.
Now this is real entertainment, gang. Damn it. Y'all better take lessons, and I mean it.
If y'all ain't listening to the Connect Work, then y'all got something wrong with y'all.
Andrew Tate here, and I want to give a super shout out to the Connect Work.
Big shout out to IKS, Quaalude, and Tony Lynch. Together they make up the Connect Work.
And we back with another one, because there's always going to be another one and another one. Live on 9, used to be 5. It's the Connect Work, where these connections bring about collaborations, and these real collaborations bring about real connections. I'm one of your hosts on this esteemed show, IKS. Pass it on to my brothers, and let them introduce themselves.
Most definitely. I appreciate you, my brother. You guys know who it is. This is T. Lynch, and you know what I'm saying, I'm one of the co-hosts of this esteemed show, and this is your first time tuning in. Head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And most importantly, this is a live stream. So if you have any questions or comments for either ourselves, the panel, or the guests, please put them in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as we go. And as always, you know what I'm saying, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to hand it over to my next brother, let him introduce himself.
Peace to the people, man. It is I, Richard of Nottingham. And as usual, along me crusty travels, I find some exquisite peoples. Anyhow, I mean, this is a legend. This is a living legend. You know what I'm saying? And I'll continue to give accolades. Like, you know, we were arguing beforehand, man, literally back and forth. Like, yo, hold on, man. I ain't even gonna say arguing. When you ask the computer system to explain, well, not explain, but assist you with a breathtaking prompt to put on the flyer, and you don't mention the person that the prompt is about, and his name comes up in there, man. That's insane by itself. So even the system, it's one thing to be in the algorithm, but when the system uses you as a reference, like, and then I say, hold on, maybe it's just tripping because I asked you these questions in a weird way. But no matter what I said, I still said, all right, well, we're going to find out who the other names. And guess what? Andy and know him. And Andy really knew him.
It's a small circle, small little, niche in the audio industry that we all work in.
Welcome to the Connect Work, man. This is Andy Vandette.
Yep.
So, Andy, introduce yourself to the audience, man. Tell people who you are, man.
How you doing? Well, I'm Andy Vandette, and let me see. I am a mastering engineer. Mastering is the final creative stage, and used to be the first manufacturing stage when I started in 1984. It was all vinyl all the time back then. So we would cut the reference lacquers for the artist and management to take home and listen to. Then we would cut the master lacquers that would be shipped to the manufacturing plants. Back then, we would ship on a big release 3 sets of lacquers to 3 different manufacturing plants across the United States, because it doesn't really make much sense to ship vinyl from New York out to LA. And that's where I got my start. I started under some industry luminaries, you might say. At the time, Bob Ludwig was one of the top, was probably one of the 2 top mastering engineers in the world. And so I did my internship under him. But at the same time, another guy named Howie Weinberg was really taken off. I think I showed up and he had just mastered the first Beastie Boys album. but he did a lot of the Profile Records catalog. Rob Bass comes to mind. Later on, he mastered Nirvana, Gorillaz. I mean, I could go on and on. Look him up. And my friend Tony Dawsey was really just starting to make a name for himself. Tony went on to, master records for DMX, French Montana. I think he did like 12 records for Jay-Z. I mean, look him up. Me and Tony, we go way back. I was teaching him about digital editing because that was my strength, while he was teaching me about cutting lacquers. So, we still to this day are good friends. Back when I started, when I was a kid.
Back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid.
Digital editing was a big freaking deal. I know all you kids out there, you're like that. What are you talking about? You do this on your laptop. Well, there were no laptops yet. Laptops were 40 pounds, and they had a built-in screen about this big, and that data rate for compact disc at 150K per second. It was a big freaking deal. It was like nearly unsustainable. So Sony developed a digital editing system. Cost about $150,000 to put together a simple system to cut a CD master together. And that's basically when I came back after my internship and I started full time at the studio with those guys. And so it was an amazing time in the music industry. I call it the "if you build it, they will come" era in sound recording, and especially in mastering, because we all didn't have any tools at home by which we could cut master lacquers. No. You had to have a $100,000 lathe to do that. Assemble CD masters? No, you needed a $100,000 rig to do that. So, all this stuff was in places, and the CD boom was just taking off when I was starting out. So not only were there new releases to keep me busy, but there were classic releases where we would redo someone's catalog, and that's really where I got my start. I got my start digital editing. I used to do a lot of removing the curses from the verses, as Tony Dawsey used to say.
Making it radio ready.
Before, record companies were, they were kind of ignorant, and they didn't understand that you really needed to put in the contract with the recording artist that they needed to supply something that could be played on radio. So, they'd turn in a record, and, you can't play that on the radio. And so it would end up in my hands. And it would be my job to, most of the time, like the modern record contracts, you got to release the turn in the main record, the clean record, the instrumental record, and the a cappella record. And before all that, if you just got the main record and you need to remove curses from the verses and the choruses too, now you got a guy like me who is searching the beginning of the song, the loop at the beginning and the end, and anytime they're not spitting, looking for this little snippet of instrumental that I can cut in instead of the offensive word. Personally, I never really liked beeping things. So I would rather have it just be a continuous beat, as if when they were in the recording studio, they had the forethought to hit the mute button just for the offensive word. And so that was the way I preferred to clean things up when I could. Sometimes there wasn't enough of that.
I got a question for you, Andy.
Certainly.
You work with a lot of people. Who was your top 3 mastering that you mastered that you was like this is wow, this is?
Roberta Flack had such an incredible aura. I don't know how else to describe it. She was just super personable, super sweet.
Did you see a color?
What's that?
Did you see a color? like Charlie Murphy did. It was orange. Give it
I,
to me.
I can't really say that I'm a huge fan, but like I was just in awe of her humanity, her aura. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. I don't often feel that with people. Jimmy Cliff, I got to do a Jimmy Cliff record, and just an amazing aura, a man with an incredible backstory. They were working on a movie of his life at the time. I'm trying to remember who. I don't remember it ever coming out. But you know, he was an incredible person that I got to actually have in the room. You got to understand, mastering, I would say, even back in the big studio days, the artist only showed up 25% of the time. I mean, artists, they have more important things to do than to sit in the mastering. I personally, even as an intern, I always thought mastering specifically was the most boring thing on the face of the planet to watch. You're looking at a guy he's got his fingers on the processors. You know, he puts them in, out, in, out. Listening to the before and the after of the processing. Yeah, that after 15 minutes, that first yawn was happening. I'd be like, oh my God, I have got to get out of this room. This sucks. So from recording and mixing is so much more exciting of an activity to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So there's two. Let me think of a third. I really liked working with Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay.
He's tough. He's really tough. And all I did for him was assemble his record, The Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. And he was sick. He wheezed on me until like 3:00 in the morning. And the thing about Billy was, if he made a request and the next thing he heard wasn't right, it wasn't like on the screen it looked like it would be right, but then to your ear it didn't sound right. He would think you didn't understand. But by the end of the session, I got to the point where I really felt like I could anticipate what he was going to say next. So he'd be like, no. I'd be like, wait a minute, here. And I would play it the second time, and it would be right. And so, I really thought that we had a really good rapport. Some of his requests that we did on that album specifically, I thought he was crazy. He was taking these bits that, short little segue stuff. And whereas the mastering engineer I was working with, after I was assembling the bits that Howie Weinberg had recorded, because I was just, a youngster coming up. So he was taking them and he was like turning them down 3 dB after Howie, of course, in his American mastering engineers we are trained to go for the throat. Every kick drum must be in your face. Every snare drum, the vocal must be. So, we're really taught to go for the throat, to be very aggressive. And so Howie had done that, but here's Billy like going, no, that's way too loud. Let's turn it way down. And I thought, okay. Of course, by now I'm on a computer. We're off of the old $150,000 rig, and we're onto a Sonic Solutions mastering editing computer, which was basically the standard as far as mastering workstations at that time. There was that, and there was a couple others that were popular, but I would say the top houses were all using Sonic Solutions. And me being the young kid, I learned how to use their proprietary networking system, Sonic Net, so that I could call up any files from anybody's system in the lacquer cutting room, and I could then go and cut lacquer. So any of the projects that Tony, Howie, or Bob were working on, I could just pull up and cut directly from the 24-bit sources.
Okay.
And that was kind of what my foot in the door of the studio was being able to do things and assist the other engineers, until in 1996 they upgraded my editing suite. Let's just say before that time, it blows my mind that artists would come to us and pay $300 an hour for me to remove the curses from the verses and the choruses too. Imagine that today. Everybody's got a workstation in their laptop.
Yeah.
So the fact that we could charge $300 an hour for me to edit, and basically stuff that should have been done in the recording studio if I'm doing clean mixes. And why didn't they take care of that? Well, that's another reason why eventually record companies got hip, and they started insisting in the contract that you guys got to turn this shit in. And then it just became a question of sample clearance. By then they had all been sued so many times, starting with that first Beastie Boys record, that they knew, you can't use that James Brown sample. We're going to get our asses sued. And everybody had to have someone on staff that was just so good at classic music, classic R&B, where all the samples were coming from, that they could sit down and listen. No, you can't use that. No, you got to change that. Or we're going to negotiate and pay the big buck. Yeah. Use it.
So there isn't like a certain amount of seconds or milliseconds that you can sample something.
I guess that's where it was from that first Beastie Boys record that 8-second rule. I'm trying to remember what it actually is now. Happened, and we've now seen lawsuits where they have successfully sued over the feel of the hi-hat rhythm. They felt like that it was a Harry Styles. I'm trying to think of the lawsuit. The lawsuits, lawyers. They
I don't mess with them.
Deal with that shit. And for a while there,
knocking on wood,
manufacturers wanted mastering houses to sign pieces of paper that we would verify that there were no uncleared samples. I'm not signing that. Forget that. That's not my job. My job is just to make it sound as good as it possibly can on the most systems across the world, whether you're playing it in a car or a club or a boombox anywhere. It's just got to sound good. That's my job. Lawyers, they work out these sample clearance issues. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have oh, go ahead, Tony.
No, go ahead, please.
Now, have you ever had some a project when you was like, oh my God, I can't. There's nothing I can do. This you gotta take this back to the drawing board.
Oh well, that's also not my job. Back in the day, recalls required that you book specific time in a specific studio with a specific engineer at a specific time, and there was no guarantee that the recall was going to be any better than the original that you got. Now it's an entirely different story. If I get a mix that I just think is totally unworkable, there's usually one or two things going on that I think just make a mix unlistenable, and I can call up the artist or the engineer, depending on who my contact is for the project, and find out, is it on somebody's hard drive in that organization? Because, I don't know why, but the snare is so much brighter than the vocal, or the vocal is so much brighter than the snare. They occupy the same frequency range, and I can't fix that. I can enhance that, and I can try to do something. And sometimes I'm surprised at how well my bag of tricks can make something sound good. But there are some basic building blocks of a mix. If the bass guitar has too much low end and the kick has not enough, and once again, you got things that are in the same frequency range. I don't generally have access to those faders individually to be able to EQ them different or change the mix. And these days with the internet connection so fast, I find that I build better relationships with people, clients, if I call them up and I lay the simple wisdom on them. Dude, why is your vocal so much louder than the entire mix? Why, the one or two things that I just think make it sound unlistenable. At this point, I started in 1984, so I have my name on enough bad sounding records. I don't really need any more. So, being able to, I feel kind of freed that when I do encounter a mix like that I can contact somebody and say, tell them gently, when I can, why don't you just send me another mix, whether it's over my Hightail account or we send it, or any of those services. I can have a new mix here, and we end up with a better sounding product for both of us. And at the end of the day, isn't that's what my job is all about? We want to sound the best it can on the most systems, and guys mixing at home on 5-inch speakers, no sub, or those god-awful NS10s, the Yamaha NS10s that were so popular for so long.
The little computer ones.
How do you gauge your low end if all you have are Yamaha NS10s and no sub? Especially if you're talking hip hop, if you don't feel that bottom, or if you do feel that bottom on Yamaha NS10s, when you get it in the car, you're gonna that's all you're gonna get, because you have no idea.
Like somebody talking to a red Solo Cup or something.
the Charlie Brown family.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So Andy, let me ask you, because you accomplished something that most people still are striving to get to the level that you're at. How does it feel being in the top 30 with the people that you studied under?
This is the first I'm hearing about that. So
really? All right.
It's very heartwarming, but at the end of the day, I'm always chasing that next gig. I got to keep my schedule full, and there's a lot of competition out there, whether it be human or computer. There's a lot of these online mastering, where no human will ever actually hear and more importantly feel your mix. A shout out to my good friend Mark Christensen at Engine Room Audio. He had once said, computerized mastering, AI mastering is kind of like asking a computer to pick your hairstyle. Would you really want to do that? It doesn't really have a sense of style.
This is gonna tell me ball.
It's gonna be like, you're out of here. You know what I'm saying? My ball spots are too smooth. My ball spots are too smooth. So let me ask you this on the CEO standpoint. Before you got to the rooms that you're now sitting in, what was the biggest piece of advice before you got there? And what I mean by that, I listened to a lot of motivationals. Eric Thomas was one of them that I really took a hold of too. And he had said something, like your gift can put you in rooms that you're not ready for. I think him, Miles Monroe, Les Brown, all of these individuals had said this. They said, your gift will put you in rooms that you're not ready for, but your mouth will take you out of those same rooms, And so one of the lessons that I learned from listening to that when I first got into the rooms was just to shut the, like be quiet, listen, pay attention to who's around you so you know how to move accordingly. Right. So in that same concept, what was one of the biggest lessons that you learned before you got into those rooms with those individuals that are making the big decisions?
Yeah, be a good listener, and in the case of mastering, always have plan B.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going down this road and you're showing them, yeah, I can pump up the bottom, I can make things brighter, but what if it already has enough bottom on it, or the client thinks it does?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always have to have these. You know, there are. Luckily, I've been able to work with a whole bunch of really big industry luminaries to be able to compare and contrast their styles. You know, Bob Ludwig, I would say, is known for a wonderful clarity on all of his records. When I listen to his mastering of the Rush catalog, you know, there's always a really nice ping on the snare, and the vocals are always pleasantly present but not sibilant. Whereas working with a guy like Howie Weinberg, you know, that bottom end, you know, is always you're gonna bottom out a system before it's gonna get crispy and harsh.
Okay. All right.
So, you know, being able to compare and contrast and to have a plan B in your pocket. You know, today with plugins, I can have my favorite 8 compressors on a preset and step through them before I apply any other EQ or processing to see what it's just natively gonna do. I guess another set of words to live by in mastering is less is more. Somebody thought that mix that I'm listening to was ready for the world. They thought it was ready to go. So to try to step back and see the wisdom in that before going, I can crank up the bottom, I can crank up the top, I can, you know, what you can do is not necessarily what you should do. So, especially to young aspiring mastering engineers, I say, go ahead, go nuts, do whatever you want to do, and then do another version where you do half as much. In the world of mastering, it's all about tickling the compressor, not really, you know, slamming it so you get a whole bunch of gain reduction on the peaks. Peaks are cool. Peaks are what we feel. So don't eliminate them. And EQ as well. You know, once again, somebody thought that mix they sent you is good. So try to see the good in it before you start mangling it.
What's the best equipment that you ever worked with that you was like, man, I wish they still would have had this or upgraded this?
You know, I'm still trying to reassemble the same mastering chain I had in my first mastering studio, and I have some of it. I have the classic Sontec equalizer. I'm going to have the classic NTP compressor, and I own it, but I don't have it here for the picture. A Neumann OE Duo equalizer that was built into the Neumann mastering consoles that we all used to cut vinyl back in the day.
Oh, wow.
The NTP compressors are incredible. And you know, there are a couple companies that are working on plugins for that, but I aim to have the original. And when they first reconfigured my studio to go from an editing suite to a full-blown mastering room, at that time, I had the ability to call up any audio dealer, in Manhattan and say, hi, I'm Andy from Masterdisc, and I'd like to try the Fairchild compressor, and you know, rattle off this laundry list of gear that I wanted to demo, and then I would come in the next day. I would master the same project 2 days in a row. I would master it through the dream chain of loaner gear, and then the next day I would put it through the same signal path as Bob Ludwig left behind for every single studio. We all had what I just described: the Sontec, the NTP, the OE Duo, so that engineers could read his notes after he left and cut more lacquer or more reference acetates for management, the label, following his notes, playing back the exact same master through the same gear, the same settings to generate more copies. They all had to be cut individually. Bob Ludwig had 2 lathes in his studio, so he could do what we call tandem cutting, cut 2 parts at a time. But if you don't have your shit together, you can also blow 2 lacquers at the same time. So it can also be expensive if you don't understand the notes or don't know what's going on. So yeah, that's what I'm headed for. I hear a lot of speakers out there that I like. I personally have been listening to the Meyer HD1s since 1986. So they give me what I need. I get good feedback. I've had charting projects, award-winning projects, Grammy-nominated projects, all using this set of speakers. They're cool in that they're self-powered, bi-amped, 8-inch woofer, dome tweeter, and when they started taking off in the 80s, every manufacturer out there went and copied them. So I think it's
you still got the speakers that had the warning label on the back.
No, those are long gone. Those are various people who have purchased them. I think 3 different generations of people that have either bought the Eltec D19 cabinet or the Hartley 24-inch subwoofer, one on each side. What you had going on down there, I knew about it.
Yo, what's crazy is I always tell that story, and it seems so much like a fantasy, but I gotta always say it, man. Like, so for anybody that remembers was it Memorex or Maxell? Maxell. The logo, right? Or the dude in the chair getting blown away by like music. Like, you know what I mean? But he's sitting in the chair and then like, yo, listen. So me being the studio junkie I am, as he said, I don't know the percentage of artists that don't stick around, but I'm not just an artist. I'm a producer. I love music, period. So I stuck around, getting on his nerves. I was just telling you, IKS, this is the first dude I ever seen with a giant, mind you, the Pro Tools boards back then was big, you know, especially if you had like 112 track, 120 track. He had the first touch screen, big ass board. You know what I mean? And
like some of Star Trek Enterprise.
Man, straight up, it looked like the Hall, like he was the cat right up. No exaggeration, IKS. Anyhow, bro, you know, like I said, when we was talking about the club, I'm like, yo, I like to stand by the music, by the speakers, bro. He had a chair right in front of these speakers, bro. Oh, there you go. There go the setup, bro. There you go. Yo, bro.
You can see the chair.
Yeah.
And there's the Behemoth. It's basically a large, clean club system aimed at you from the side of one side of the living room type space. Like the first step out of the studio, the first step into the living room. But at the end of the day, as good as that was, it packed a wallop, no doubt. At the end of the day, when it came down to splitting hairs about what processing, amount of the processing that I would use, the HD1s was the one I knew was right. Whereas the big system packed a wallop, and there would be certain clients that, well, I liked the fact that the 24-inch subwoofers, if you overdrove them, they made this like metal on metal belching noise, which generally made clients go, ooh, let's turn it down just a little bit. And so we turn it down, and I would preserve my hearing. and we would finish the session at a more sane level, even though it was still really loud. But then I also would get some clients that liked that, in which case I would say, well, what do you think? I'd crank it up, and I'd run to this little corner in the back of the room where I knew there was this an acoustic mode where it would kind of cancel out. It would be just a little bit less loud there, so that they could get what they needed, but I didn't have to destroy myself, and I could complete a long session.
Most definitely. Now, I know you short on time and everything, but my question is, because I love the fact of that I just found this out that you're mastering on vinyl, right? And we've gone through the stage where we've seen the vinyl go out the windows and things like that. And I love the fact that you're bringing it back. What was your thought pattern behind that, like going back to mastering on vinyl?
I have a very love-hate relationship with vinyl. I say of all the hair that I've lost, I lost most of it cutting vinyl records, because in vinyl records there are no punch-ins. There are no, let's swap out the third song. You have this continuous thread of lacquer material being cut like a hot knife through butter out of the disc. That lacquer material is a modified furniture type lacquer, and if it doesn't cure right before you put the disc on the platter to cut it, if their formulation is bad, if for any reason that continuous thread of lacquer material stops going in the tiny tube that it's being sucked up by a vacuum, now you have this wad of highly flammable lacquer material building up underneath this heated styli. I have never experienced a chip fire. That's what we call what's coming out of the disc is called chip. But I hear it's very black, thick, noxious smoke that you don't want to be anywhere near. So, very much a love-hate relationship, and chances are you're going to lose chip on the 23rd minute of a 24-minute side while the FedEx guy is sitting on the couch waiting for the package.
So you got one shot.
Yeah.
One shot, one chance to get it perfect.
And when the guy there was a guy named Alan Moy who trained me. He was the night guy who came in after Bob Ludwig to make more parts in Bob's studio. He would tear the aluminum lacquer off the platter and throw it across the room like a frisbee when he would get frustrated. There's nothing like an aluminum frisbee potentially coming at you.
That's hilarious.
So I got to go back to that other story, man. What I was saying about that equipment, other than the technical element, I wanted to hear the music blasting, and he already had it loud, but he was as him being the master, he wanted to hear quality. I wanted to hear ghetto thump, and I remember him telling me, "Listen, man, if I turn it too loud, it'll kill you." That's how I know about the warning signs. But if you remember, I looked at the back of those speakers and it really got the warning signs. The velocity.
There's so much of this session that Quaalude remembers that I don't know. I just think,
you know what? Nah, you don't remember the. You know what? You don't remember the warning signs.
No warning sign on
I'm going to have to look. Watch. I'm gonna look it up right now, and I'm gonna show you. Yeah, you must have forgot about those. Man.
It's gonna kill you.
No, he said I'm turning up my office is going.
He said, "I know you don't know. I'm gonna find it, dig it on."
I remember it because see, I didn't own nothing like that, man. I didn't own nothing like that, brother.
The appeal of the huge system is that nobody had a system like that at home. But at the end of the day, as far as acoustic accuracy and getting it home and getting, client approvals, it was the HD1s that were right.
Oh, commercial AC1s.
Yeah. Yeah, you would think after
If you
40
want to
years,
get it right,
you would
get it
think
right.
after 40 years they'd give me a free pair, wouldn't you?
You would think so. You would think so, but you know how they go, man. You know how they do this. You know what I'm saying? Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that. Oh, there you go. See, it didn't say. You're right. Hold on. No. Hold on. It didn't say. It doesn't say kill you. It says loud noise can cause hearing loss. Ear protection must be worn.
Yeah, it wasn't anywhere in my studio though. I don't know. I don't know where you saw it, but didn't have anything to do with me. And it is true. I think that young people really protect their hearing.
And you know what's crazy? Look. At least I could say, it's positive memories, but bro, they most definitely was always enhanced with the Mary Jane. I don't think I met none of y'all that on any of these situations without some bud in the air. Straight up, man.
Yeah, I got a studio picture of a crew with DJ Honda and Parrish Smith in my studio. And I mean, you can just see the smoke in the air, and everybody's eyes are red, and it's obvious what's going on.
Not too long ago, I got called a junkie, by Frederick, this disgusting dusty misfit, right? But check it though, it really made me look, because the description was like, look, eyes always all red and lazy. And it made me really look at myself close. And I said, damn, my eyes is always red and lazy. But I be up and energized. Then I said, hold on, he making me feel bad like I'm a fiend. I thought about it like, you know what? And I swear to God, guess what I said? I asked my boy across the street, because he know the different names of buds that make you feel certain ways. But right then and there, I said, hold on, man, it's sad shit. I ain't doing this. So now I got the laughing weed, sativa. Anything, it got to be boo, boo, boo. I said, nah, man, he just had me really, it hit me like that commercial, because guess what? I really was one of them dudes, high as a giraffe ass, when it came out and it said, you just sitting on the couch? Well, what is you doing? Why you ain't go to the college? You remember that? You remember that commercial? And then he looked back at you and be like, yo, man.
The Institute College thing that they
the online thing. And it'd be like, it looked back at you like, yo, you still sitting there, right? And my dumb ass in a weed spot, high as hell, looking at it like, oh, he talking to me. Now he talking to you. Ain't neither one of us in school. We high. We everything they saying, check. Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't judge anybody. I cannot smoke like I used to smoke. That is, that it would be bad. I do lose motivation. I have a good story. I have a great story for you. I'm working on LL Cool J album.
Oh shit!
Back when I think he had first started. He had first started introducing himself. He came in and he was like, "Hi, I'm Todd," and he was cool. He was personal. He came in with his crew. His engineer came in. 13 shots to the dome. Look it up while I'm talking. 13 hits to the dome, something like that. One of his albums.
Is this the one where he kind of like was doing like the street persona, more of a street persona instead of just like the hip hop music?
He was just starting to be like a more than a hip hop star. He was becoming a celebrity at that point. So I am just doing like the final assembly once again. And we worked all night, and the recording engineer came in, and he just came in with this big bag of bud, and we were smoking all night. Todd never touched the stuff, and at like 3:00 in the morning, when his crew was all crashed out on my couch, he was laughing, he was making fun of them, he was like poking them, and they were like, there's the perfect example of too much of a good thing.
Self-indulgence.
Yeah. I also used to have this.
So he was just fucking everybody high up.
Yeah. He was fucking with everything. There was I had a pin. What do you play in the bars? It's like a target, and you throw
Darts?
darts at it. Dartboard.
Yeah.
My dartboard had little ping pong balls with Velcro on them, and you throw it at the target. I have never seen anybody throw those ping pong balls as hard as Todd. And he had quite an arm. It was a stupid toy for people sitting around in my studio who had time. And once again, it is the most boring thing on the face of the planet to watch. So a lot of people they toss it, but Todd used his full force and really made great use of the stupid game.
So is it safe to say that way back then you saw the cop he became, the action hero cop he became on TV nowadays? You saw that in his character way back then.
I think I saw a certain humility. I definitely saw a certain star aura. Definitely, but I don't think any of us in the room knew what he would become today.
Well, that's different though. Shout out to him and you, because see, nobody calls him Todd but his uncle and aunt and you. And you know what I'm saying? Nobody, like, I've never even heard him referred to as that. So that but we know that that's his name. Ladies love Cool James. Remember, he was Todd James.
I never knew it.
I got a question.
I never knew it was Todd.
Oh, you didn't see? That was just something
I thought it was ladies love Cool James.
Now you learned that from the mixtape DJs in New York, but he never addressed it. I think he did have an album later on in life called Todd or something like that. You know what I mean? But
yeah, he did.
I always wanted to know this. There was a crazy rumor in New York back when LL was on the come up that the reason why he always wore hats is because he had wrinkles on his head. His head was deformed. Is that true?
I cannot confirm or deny.
He said I can't confirm or deny. Yeah, LL got wrinkles then. Yes, it's true. It's true. It is true. Yeah, bro. Many of people, see, this is before the internet, bro. Many of DJs and all that, they used to work like certain sectors. I guess you would see a lot of the same DJs, like DJ Ron G, Brucey B, Kid Capri, all of those, and they all knew each other, type of thing. And this is way back before anybody felt rap will make you rich, and yeah, that was what was the street rumor, that LL had wrinkles on his head. That's why he always wore hats, because back then you never saw him with no bald head. And it seemed like once he got older and did the Hollywood thing, you know how Hollywood do it. Hollywood, if you bald, they give you new hair. Like, it's Hollywood. they fixed his head for him.
New hair.
Yeah, so I think either they fixed it or he got some putty. He got some putty, either that or they, because yeah, you can put the putty on the skull. He got that kind of money where he could lift the skin up, put some putty on the skull, round it up. You know what I mean? Yo, come on, you know that, bro. You know that. How many dudes you know from the hood that got the natural peanut head? Yeah, the peanut head. Once you get rich, they can put the putty on that, and you no longer got the peanut head.
Are you starting to feel attacked yet? He called us peanut heads.
Now I'm just saying, I think LL got the money, and Hollywood might have really fixed it, because once you say you can't confirm or deny, that validates LL got wrinkles on his head. He got wrinkles.
And it's like, don't put me in this. I did not say that. I did not say
that. That was not the focus of. I just wanted to make the record sound good, make people happy. So I didn't, maybe I didn't spend enough time Look into his head. I didn't know I was supposed to.
I can just tell you this: life takes its course. So all of us as men know that. You know, I'm 49, and my skin is nowhere near as tight as what it used to be at 20. So if he had the baggy head at 20, and he older now, man, it might just he might just be able to fold it over. Like LL probably could get little bobby pins and fold his skin over on his head and tighten it up. It might be as baggy. No, I can guarantee it's baggy enough for him to shake it like this.
I see a diss track coming.
It's like it's coming, right?
Just answer it. Just think about it though. If that's true, if the skin was saggy way back then LL Cool J right now can do like this, and his head will shake
like Jello.
Like Jello. It'll vibrate.
We gotta hire a paparazzi or something to follow him around and looking for that shake. I guess.
Oh my God.
Nah. That ain't there no more. That ain't there. That ain't there no more.
It's him folding up the top part of his forehead that look like a big old meat brow. You know?
Same way with most of those people. You know, bro, all they gotta do, I'm gonna tell you about it. You catch the people that got the little slices by the front of their ear, right? That's what they do when they get super old. They slice their ear, right? No, you ain't got them because
I ain't got them.
They once they slice your ear. They pull all your skin back like a you know how your sock get baggy. You know if you wear a sock all day, you take it off and pull the tip of your foot out and the sock just be there like a little. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's like that for female socks, but for dudes, when you wear your sock on,
when you don't want it to be a tube sock, you're trying to make it.
Bro, what they do is they pull the skin back and then cut it and clip it on the side. So now your face is tight and it rejuvenate them. That's what they did to LL head. They, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they brought it back. You know they could do that in Hollywood. Look what they did to Cardi B teeth. Come on now, they could do. Damn. Hold on, what's that other dude? They made him taller. Y'all know about him. The dude he used to be like my height, 5'5". Now he like 6'2". Remember he got the extra shins. They gave him the extra bones in the shins and the calves. Remember, stretched them.
You got to stop reading these tabloid.
No, this ain't tabloids. This is real.
No, that actually did happen. There's a dude that had the surgery to get his bones replaced to make him taller. Right?
Yeah.
He's in therapy right now. He's walking around with two little things to help him move around. But yeah, he's going around telling everybody, I always wanted to be tall.
Is it expensive?
It has to be.
No, but yeah, he did do it. He did do it, and for to compensate for the skin stretch, I think they said they removed some skin off of like his butt or something.
Well, guess what? Now he ain't got no butt. If they stretched him that tall, then they had to take both butt cheeks off. Like he ain't got no butt. Like, man, that's what he sacrificed. That's what he sacrificed, man. He sacrificed butt cheeks for a joint cover. You know what I'm saying?
Cost between $75,000 and $150,000.
Hold on, Andy. Did you actually think about that? Andy thought about that. Like, nah, y'all fibbing me. I've been trying to be 6 feet for years.
This thing called Google, and I did a quick search, and it says is a complex, high risk. The procedure increases height by up to 6 inches, also known as 15 centimeters for your European viewers, by cutting leg bones, the femur and the tibia, and using an internal rod to gradually separate them, allowing new bone to grow in the gap.
Jesus.
Whew. Harsh.
So you
basically
like a
I'd rather wear lifts in my shoes.
Basically, medieval torture for your pleasure.
We're gonna rack them. Just stretch them
and stretch them. Don't worry about it,
guys. I got to run soon.
I know, man.
All right, Andy. Yes, I got a question for you, man.
Yes.
You know,
nothing about bodily functions.
I know I've gotten on your last nerves throughout the years, but you know what gravitates me to you and always have, fam, is not just the point of, you know, you being a dreamer, but you told me a story before about you used to listen to certain artists' records, You know what I mean? And then grew into working with those artists. So can you tell any of the people, you know, that story of dreaming, being that, you know, little kid that's dreaming, and like any other kid, Christmases and everything is normal. And to put that drive in and actually work with the people you dreamed about.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you know, I grew up in Western New York, a suburb of Buffalo, kind of in between Buffalo and Niagara Falls. And so all the Buffalo radio stations, they really sucked. And so we would all listen to the Toronto stations. And so, of course, we heard a lot of Rush. And so, you know, I begged, borrowed, and stealed to be able to afford an effects pedal so that I could make the whoosh at the beginning of Tom Sawyer with my three-piece rock band in high school. And so, you know, I ended up working in a studio where Rush worked, and you know, what a thrill. I can remember horrible things happened to Neil's family, and they didn't know if they were ever going to make another record. And so they made a record called Vapor Trails, which was ended up being mastered by my coworker, Howie Weinberg. And, you know, for years I had heard Bob Ludwig mastering their records, and they had the Bob Ludwig style that I had talked about previously with the nice ping on the snare, beautiful vocal presence. And here was Vapor Trails. And Vapor Trails sounded kind of like this to me. And I said to myself, wow, this, I guess this is why I will never work with Rush. And fast forward, I had the opportunity to work with an engineer producer named Rich Chicky. And we were working on a band called Need to Breathe. And he found out that, well, that record did very well and it charted, and he must have liked what I did, because when I told him that I was a Rush fan, he said, "Oh, Rush, you like Rush? Because you know, I'm doing this live thing with them. You want to master it?" And I was like, "Yes, I am not worthy. I am not worthy." And so, of course, I waited 6 months for the master tapes to be delivered to the studio. Of course, they were delivered as my plane was touching down at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. But they were kind enough to give me a couple days to attend the conference. I got off the plane. I went back to the studio, and here I am mastering probably one of my favorite bands of all time, Rush. Apparently I didn't screw that up, because they let me go ahead and produce the 5.1 version that was laid back into the DVD in surround sound. And then from there, I got to do more and more. You know, first I did Greatest Hits package. They had a couple new mixes on it, but it ended up I got the call to remaster their entire catalog for high res streaming, and they also put it on CD. So here I am listening to Circumstances off of Hemisphere, one of my favorite all-time tracks, favorite all-time band, one of my favorite all-time albums from them, screaming along at like 2:00 in the morning along with it while I'm remastering it. You know, you don't really get many moments like that. So there you have it.
Quay.
Have you ever worked with Kiss?
Never worked with Kiss. Never worked with Gene Simmons. Never a thing. I think I got a call. Peter Criss had a solo record, and there was this track that was really problematic. It had all kinds of noises, and you know, one of those things that just my schedule didn't accommodate it, and no, never.
Well, I know you never like doing it, but I have to ask you, can you please, you know, for the hip hop, you know, followers that follow us and R&B followers, can you please give us a rundown of the legends of hip hop that you have worked with in R&B?
Well, I guess, you know, far and away, the Beastie Boys. I had just shown up at the studio when their first album was really hitting hard. And so one of my first gigs was cutting together the running master for Paul's Boutique. Probably one of my most difficult sessions to date, because there were 6 producers. None of them wanted to sit in the room with me just to get the simple running order of the record. Mario C was really my connection to sanity, and he would be the one that was like, oh, wait a minute, I gotta, I know that so-and-so had a question about this section, and he'd pull them in. They'd be there for a little bit, and we got the record done. And then on Hello Nasty, Howie Weinberg was mastering it again, and they would be joking and laughing and doing their thing while I was cutting it together. Luckily we're on digital audio workstations by then, and they would be listening down to it, and they'd go, we don't really like this. Why don't we like it? And I'd say, well, this song has less low end than the rest of them. And they go, can you fix that? And I said, well, yes, I can. And type away and fix that. And then they'd listen a little while longer, and they'd say, oh, this doesn't feel right to us. Why don't we like this? And I would tell them, well, this track is Lord Dave. How you doing? No, he's on mute.
You're on mute, Dave.
So anyway, long story short.
There it is.
Long story short, as Quaalude always says, by the time the album was done, I had tweaked, remastered, or relayered a track for half the record. And they were kind enough to actually put my name on the record as co-mastering, which, opened lots of doors, for me early on. Hip hop, stuff that people have heard of. I do so much indie stuff that I would probably have to look it up. Who's the guy I did from Diplomats? Was I should have my own discography in front of me for questions like this. And Quaalude, by this point, you should have memorized the important artists in the genre.
I know you've worked with, on your page by itself, you have 50 Cent that you've mastered for.
I did not master 50 Cent.
No, so what did you do on that record?
That would be Mark Christensen, who is the chief engineer at Engine Room, a studio that I did work at. But he did all that work for 50. And that's cool, more power to him.
Oh, so everything, never mind. I'm gonna go straight to your site then. Can't go with the Engine Room.
You kind of got to go to.
Don't do it.
Yeah, you kind of got to go to my all music discography or discogs.org. Or my website, andyvandette.com.
Real fine. And you'll see it right there.
What's going on, David?
How you doing? Look, wait. Look what I got here.
Man, David Bowie.
Yeah, but you don't have a pile of vintage gear underneath it. So
what is that? What was that? I missed that.
The Kleenex.
He said, I'll show you again.
Oh, nah. Oh, yeah. He said his Kleenex snap, but it ain't had the same kind of snap like Andy did.
It's not the Kleenex snap that's important. It's the vintage gear sitting underneath it.
Man, soon as I go on here, bro, it starts with David Bowie. You know what I'm saying? David Bowie, man. Then Deep Purple, Porcupine Tree. I can't never pronounce that right, man. Remember when Steve Harvey said that? He said Porcupine? Yo, one question before you get out of here. This is another one, man. You were nominated for a Grammy this year. So again, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congrats.
What was the I know it's still for any real artist, it's still a celebration, man. Even if you don't get the actual reward, you know what I mean? You were nominated. That meant you were in the fighting realm of the top 3.
And he gets him a certificate.
Yes. So how does that feel, man, Mr. Grammy?
Oh, Grammy nomination. What could be more of a validation, of what you've been working for and what you've been working towards, and there's so many good and bad things about the Grammys, but still, how many people actually can say that one of the projects that they had worked on actually got nominated? And I've been lucky enough to have a few. I work across many genres of music. Today I'm going to work on a contemporary jazz project. I'm going to work on a pop rock with Rush overtones kind of project tomorrow.
Oh, so you're still working with Rush?
No, you said your song has Rush overtones. You said.
It's got an influence to it, and I'm always hoping that another Rush project will happen. But so I've had Grammy nominations in the straight up jazz category by Brian Blade and the I forget the name of his band. Damn. Unprepared. This year was Maria Moldauer in the Roots Blues category. Seven Dust in the hard rock category also got a Grammy nomination. And there's also Juno Awards, which is basically the Canadian Grammy that I've had projects that are nominated and have won on. Last week, I had 2 songs on the Canadian hard rock chart from a band called Big Wreck. The highest charting one right now is called Dog with a Gun. I mean, talk about a great title. You got to go click on that and check that out.
I'm damn sure going to check those tracks out, man.
Juelz Santana, ding, 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 from the Diplomats is another hip-hop project that I did. I did a compilation hip-hop hits. Back in the days, it wasn't so hard to go gold or platinum. And so a compilation like Hip Hop Hits 4 from Def Jam, I have a plaque from that somewhere.
Nice. Right now, it's just so much out there. There's so much out there. There's a hot song, and it's not another hot song. It's not. There's just a big turnover, I think, in the hip hop genre because there's so many people, so many artists in that.
Yeah. There's so much out there. I hate people that are like, "There's no good music anymore."
You got to find it.
If you're not finding good music, you're not looking hard enough.
You're not looking. You're right. I agree.
Andy, DJ Electrifries said, I want to get into the business, but don't know how to get started. How did you make all your connections and get into the studio with all of these talented people?
Well, I never wanted to be a mastering engineer. It was never my drive. It was never my focus. I was a musician in a band, and I'm like, I was born to sit behind the Neve, program the flying faders. That's me, man. And it came time for me to do an internship for my college recording program. At the time, there were only 3 recording programs on the East Coast. Colleges had not figured out that if you put a recording studio in your school, people will go there. So there were only 3 on the East Coast. One was the University of Miami. My parents were not sending me to the University of Miami. There was one in Berkeley. My parents were not sending me to Berkeley. But hours south of my parents' home, a SUNY school called Fredonia had a Tonmeister program, very much classically oriented sound recording. And I had been, I was in that program and I had attended for 3 years. Now it was time for my internship. And I wanted to do my internship at a studio out on Long Island called Boogie Hotel. It had been owned by the classic 70s band Foghat, but now it had been purchased by a group of investors, one of which was Bob Ludwig, chief mastering engineer at Masterdisc in New York City. And so during one Audio Engineering Society convention, I went to New York City and asked him if I could do my internship at the studio that he was part owner with. And I had never met anyone like Bob. He had tandem lathes, so he's cutting 2 lacquers at a time. He's got the master tape is running. He's changing settings between songs, setting up for the next song while the previous song is running, then hitting the button that makes that little spiral on the disc so you can tell where to put your needle down.
Mm-hmm.
And taking phone calls. All the while, he's got this like focus thing. And at some point, he says, "But Andy, why don't you want to do your internship here?" And I was awestruck. I really was. I was like, "Oh my God, Bob Ludwig wants me to sit in the tape library and organize tapes for summer." But it was an incredible experience. We negotiated that I would be at Masterdisc Monday through Friday, and I would go to Boogie Hotel on the weekends. And it just ended up that the Boogie Hotel thing never happened. When they had gigs, they had technical issues, and being 2 hours out of Manhattan, they didn't have a Studer or SSL or Neve parts guy that could just run a part over to them like you could in Manhattan. And so they never really happened. I don't really know if there's a studio in that space anymore out in Port Jefferson. But I had done my internship at Masterdisc, and when I graduated, I ended up back in the New York City area and at a kind of schlocky mastering studio. And when they never quite fired me, they just hired my replacement before I quit. So it left me jobless in the New York City area. I ended up cleaning houses for my landlord's house cleaning company. Biggest culture shock of my entire existence. But I got through it. And when Masterdisc's receptionist fell in love with Corey Hart's bass player. Do you know Corey Hart? I wear my sunglasses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know Corey. I like Corey Hart.
And she had to move to Canada, so that actually gave me my first full-time position at the studio. So they had invested $250,000 into a direct metal mastering lathe, which cut into copper instead of that lacquer material that I was talking about before. And in order for the investment to pay off, they had to have analog tie lines into the studio from all the other studios. And so I was supposed to be the kid that sat there and watched the lathe and make sure nothing bad happened to it, while the other engineers remotely connected to it. And it just turned out that the demand for that didn't immediately take off. So they were very hesitant to hire me. And I hear that the owner was hesitant to hire me as receptionist. He thought that I wouldn't be doing my job. I would be in the studios all the time. And I hear he was having an argument with the general manager who liked me and wanted to hire me for the job when Bob Ludwig walked in and heard that the receptionist was leaving. And he had heard about my trouble getting replaced without a gig. And he said to them, "Oh, well, great. Then we can hire Andy." And there you go. There I was. I didn't really want to be a mastering engineer because I thought I was a musician. But after cleaning houses for 2 months, I was like, "I'll take it. Anything." And slowly over time, working my way up the studio ladder, because, that's the way it used to work. Now, giving recommendations to somebody who's just starting out now, that whole get your foot in the door, kiss a lot of ass, learn a lot of stuff, learn to be helpful, learn to listen. That whole path has kind of been closed off because big studios, for the most part, don't exist anymore. Yeah. When I started in Manhattan, there was probably 2 or 3 recording studios on every block. Now it's an odd thing to even have a recording studio in Manhattan. The rent is just too damn high.
Quad is still standing strong.
Yeah. And I see Electric Lady is still there. There are outliers that are happening, but even in the world of mastering, Master's chief competition, Sterling Sound, a lot of quality guys there. They chose to move to New Jersey as well. Like,
is Master Disc still around?
I think so. Ever since they lost their iconic New York City space, I know they bounced around a little bit.
Mirror Image, what about them?
Mirror Image, don't know about Mirror Image. Not a name I recognize.
Yeah, that was on East 28th between Park and Lex.
Yeah, like I said, I haven't heard of them, but studios still exist in Manhattan, but there's a lot less of them.
Gotcha. So, can we get a drop from you, legendary Andy Vandette? Can we get a Connect Work drop?
Connect Work. Shout out to the Connect Work. Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you all.
Oh, hold on. I knew I had another question. You was just talking about the vinyls. No, that's because it just dawned on me. Like, everybody thinks Exquisite. Now, when I looked at your vinyls, I was sitting there stuck and I said, oh shit, the way Andy did these joints, it brought me back to Funk Dubious, and they had a lime green record back in the days, but it wasn't see-through. Okay. And I remember way back when I just came home, I was talking to you about, regular Lincoln, this, that, and the third, and you had told me, listen, Quay, about the I'm in the wax world right now, and talking about you deal with people that will forever be performing because they got a fan base, they do real concerts, all this, but they you were pressing wax, and I'm like, records. And after that, I saw everything that you said. They began to put record players in every type of wholesale type of store, department kind of store available, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, whatever else have you. And then around that time, they might have had a little section in the aisle of vinyl. Now it's a whole aisle of that vinyl, and then what's his name? Andre 3000. He dropped his album on vinyl, $70, $69.99 at minimum. So I saw everything that you said. So anyhow, once we looked it up, looked at your personal pages and everything, and I said, hold on, man. He's taking the record player and putting it in like a smooth, like you taking it to the real photo room, man. And I forgot the name of it, but like, when you was a kid and go take family pictures, it's like you had the ambiance there. You put the record player there with a piece of like rustic wood, you know what I'm saying? And it's outside, but it'll have the actual record player and the records that you just pressed. You know what I'm saying? So my question ultimately was kind of two-sided. Have you done it? And what is the most exquisite materials a record can actually be pressed on? Like, can somebody actually say, I got enough money, I want a gold record, and literally give you the gold, and you do the process? Like, what kind of materials how exclusively can you actually get a record made with whatever material? Silver, gold. I mean, what's the craziest? Glass?
The gold and the silver, those are only for awards, and they are never the record that they say they are. You'll look at the number of what we call bands, where you see the little gap between them, so you know where to drop the needle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got, you can see on the label, it says it's got 5 songs on that side of the record, and you look at the actual disc and it's got 4 or 7. It's just an award. You can't really play it. So as far as an exotic material, I don't really know of anyone who has ever actually pressed a gold record. It's just a gold plating on top of whatever they got laying around.
what's the most exquisite material you could use? Let's say I was a billionaire and I wanted you to make me a record out of the craziest material. What would actually be possible?
It's still gonna be a vinyl. It's just gonna be a more pure vinyl. In the old days, they would try to extend their vinyl supply by putting in what we would call regrind. Regrind were you remember you'd see the bargain bin at Kmart where the records that one of the ways that record companies could promote a record is by pressing up extra copies even though the demand wasn't really there. Oh my God, we shipped that record gold. Which means that they just put out 500,000 copies. Didn't mean that they were going to sell them. And
so they were shipped gold.
Right. They shipped gold, so they were anticipating that it was going to sell that many copies. Most of them didn't, or many of them didn't, because selling records is tough business. So after they would be returned from the stores to the distributor could then return them to the manufacturer, and they would punch out the paper center, the label was, grind them up, and throw that in with the pure vinyl. Should be like pure vinyl helper, or to help extend the supply. But that vinyl would not nearly be as pure and would not yield as quiet of a pressing. So I would say, as far as exotic materials, the more pure vinyl you can get, the better. It used to be that colored vinyl didn't sound as good as black vinyl because it wasn't really vinyl. But now I hear the latest formulations are all clear vinyl, but they just color them, even the black.
I thought they just used to press it.
Well, plastic. You gotta look up. There's a how it's made video that shows you the actual process by which records are made, and these little pellets become biscuits that are preheated, so they're already kind of softish, and then they put them in the press and between the two stampers, and they come off the stamper and they have to be laid perfectly flat on the spindle, otherwise they get warped. They need to be able to cure before they are then packaged. Definitely look up that video if you want.
So actually, I've seen it. It looks like a small little pellet. It's like a pellet, a black pellet.
Starts off
I'm like, what the? From that little bitty? How did the heck? From that little bitty thing? How the heck?
Yeah.
So a dub plate is probably like the worst material.
Dub plate, what they call dub plates, it's not wax. It is lacquer on top of a vinyl plate. I'm sorry, I'm going to say what? I misspoke. Lacquer material on top of an aluminum plate. And if you watch the video, you see that a dub plate is really the same thing as a master lacquer. It's just 12-inch, so it would fit on your turntable instead of 14-inch like we use for manufacturing. And in the video, they quote something like a third of the lacquers that come off of the production line are immediately rejected for defects. It has to be absolutely, positively flat. So they reject 33% of them right off the bat. And then the mastering studio looks at them and they probably reject another 25% of those that are shipped. Vinyl, consistently manufacturing a high quality disc in vinyl is a big deal. It's tough. That's why CDs were supposed to be such a good idea.
I gotta say, when CDs came out, the music just started going downhill. Because now these people the music went downhill since they got CDs. I mean, it used to be you go get an album, man, put that bad boy, it was bad. Flip that bad boy, be on the other side.
I think we're doing a little bit of rewriting history there. That's why so many records ended up in the bargain bin.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting the corners cut off of them. When I started in the industry in 1984, it was all vinyl. Only 28% of records that came out made money. And I don't think it's any better today. But today you have enterprising companies like your own, David, where artists who have their own grassroots following can meet the demand, can put out a product, a high quality product, because we can all have recording studios on our laptops, or go to a big studio to record the drums.
We got Mark and Eric.
Yeah, my friends, shout out to the Pop Machine.
Yes.
You can do a lot of the overdubs yourself, and then hopefully go back to someone with some talent to mix it. I also know of a lot of meticulous band members with meticulous natures can often put out a good sounding mix, but you have to know, you gotta have some skills, and you got to know your limitations. But there's more opportunity out there to generate your own grassroots operation, build a following by playing live, and if you can get out there and get your social media presence together, get some sales together, you will have record labels coming to you. And now you can do a P&D deal, production and distribution. So you have the product, and you're just going to put it through their distribution channel, and that way you can do it. But you can also do it on a very local level, which is where I find some of the most creative music coming from. That Tay Bronson track is so cool.
Which one? Tay, you said Tay?
Golf cart.
Yeah, the golf cart. Yeah. Shout out to Tay. Yeah, the golf cart. That's why I like the way he writes. Like he'll tell a story about something. Kitchen Table. There's an acoustic version of Kitchen Table on my compilation that he sings about this kitchen table. The accounting's done there, homework and everything. It's really cool.
All right.
Okay,
well,
guys.
Andy, it's nothing but a pleasure having you, man. Even being in your presence, brother. So it's, man, appreciate you, man, for even pulling up with us. Thank you, and always congratulations on your success. We wish you so much more, and you got to drop your info so anybody could get a hold of you, man. Whether it's to get some, whatever it is, can you let the people know where they can get a hold of you? And Dave, man, listen, man, it's always a pleasure having you. You and Andy locked in, so appreciate you pulling up. Shout out to Highball Entertainment.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I always a pleasure to hang with you guys.
All right, so how do people get a hold of you, Andy?
Well, you can go to my website, andyvandette.com, ANDY, V as in Victor, AN, D like David, ETTE, Andy Vandette, rhymes with Corvette, so you don't forget. You can also reach me, email address, andyvandettemastering@gmail.com is an easy one to remember. Those are probably the best.
All right. So I guess Max, one of my partners, to take us out of here, man.
Leave it. I'm gonna give it to Tony, man. Give it to my
Toe
partner,
Lynch.
Toe Lynch.
No, hey, why don't you do it, IKS? I did the last one.
Why don't y'all flip a coin or rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah, we're gonna rock, paper, scissors.
No, he right though, man. It's IKS never take us out of here.
There you go.
See, guess what? Hold on, let me blow him up, because guess what, fellas? His section is supposed to be, his name is IKS, meaning I know sports, but he don't know nothing about sports.
But I can talk about my team.
So Tony, before IKS take us out of here, please give us IKS commercial, so IKS can take us out of here.
I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah, he knows sports and don't know nothing about it.
They're my teams.
Don't know
Since
nothing.
they ain't doing nothing.
Here we go. Oh shoot, we gotta find it.
No.
Still not the right one.
No. That ain't the right one either.
Yo, you see my segment? You.
It ain't got nothing to do about sports on this taking out with the connect work. But these connections, like we always say, bring about collaborations. These real collaborations bring about real connections. Like to give a big shout out, you know what I'm saying, Andy Vandette. Appreciate you giving us some time. Appreciate you, David Highball, popping in, giving some of your time. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my partners, everybody that was inside the chat. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? We got Slim Ballin', had DJ Electric Fly. You know what I'm saying? Who else we had up in here? Well, if I miss you, hey, still appreciate you popping in. But just like I say, it was 5, but now it's 9. Live on 9. The Connect work. Shout out to Hood Hierarchy, Crucial Kids. Remember to hit that subscribe button, that like button. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody again tuning in. The Connect work.